Man,
Yeah.
see, that's the other thing people forget to do on these calls is forget to have fun.
Gratitude. Lots of gratitude. I'd be like, I'm so grateful I get to wake up. I get to have a job where I get to wake up whenever the heck I want. I get to take breaks in the middle of the day, you know, watch an episode of whatever it is that I'm addicted to that month. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Guys, today's guest is living proof that resilience, heart, and pure hustle can completely transform your life on and off the sales floor. She's started her sales journey at just 16 years old, going door to door. Here's the kicker. She didn't even like sales at first. In fact, she was terrified. And fast forward today, not only has she conquered that fear, she's built herself into a powerhouse, helping see value of what is possible and not just selling people on it. Her story isn't just about closing deals. It's about overcoming social anxiety, reclaiming her voice, and going from victim to captain of her own life. Fun fact, she graduated high school at just 16 years old, traveled the world to heal after a major setback, and believes that success is way more about heart and intention than hustle alone. Get ready for a real, raw, inspiring conversation with someone who's proof that with the right mindset and perseverance, that can take you anywhere. By the way, I should mention, guys, our guest today is not only a rising force at One Call Closers, she's a true example of what happens when you stop living to be chosen and start choosing for yourself. Along the way, she's battled social anxiety, redefined her standards, and proven again with perseverance and an A+ effort and attitude, everything is possible. Please help me welcome to the show, Kaelei. Kaelei, I don't know which last name to use.
Atarahti.
Atarahti. There we go. So Atarahti. Kaelei, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike. Thank you so much.
I've been looking forward to this episode for actually a long time.
Really?
But I've been wanting to do it in person and not necessarily virtually. And I'd love to definitely, do virtual episodes in the future with you. But I want to start off because I think a lot of people, including myself, were at one point in time terrified of getting into sales. So walk me through what made you terrified of sales, and knowing that, what made you still get into it?
Wow, good question. So when I was 16, I started Amway, which everybody knows how that name sounds, right?
Yep.
They're like, ooh, Amway, ooh. But it's like almost synonymous with Ponzi scheme. And I was really enthralled by the personal development aspect of that. I was like high off of it, right? It was so good. And because there was so much healing for me in many ways from some things in my childhood, but I just couldn't get over talking to new people, trying to prospect people. I don't even like that word, to be honest. And so I just quit, like I have many things. And then Mary Kay later down the road when I was 18, my good friend Faith, we're actually great friends today. She was the maid of honor at my wedding. And when we met during a college dance thing, and she invited me for a facial, and I loved the experience. I loved the community and the camaraderie. So there's a pattern there, right? That kept bringing me back to sales was the camaraderie, the encouragement, that positive atmosphere that my soul craved so much. But every time I actually had to get to work and sell something, I was like, I can't. And I think it was because I felt like I had to offer people something that they didn't necessarily want, because it was always a cold thing, right? And the idea of trying to coerce somebody into buying something made me physically nauseous. And so there were many hurdles along the way in that, to answer your question.
How did you overcome that hurdle?
It took a long time.
Repetition?
It took, yeah. I think I quit a few different offers. Amway, Mary Kay for a time, restarted it back later and quit it again since. Did door-to-door for Comcast Business. I think that actually was probably a huge part of helping me get over it. I remember being in my car, going to my territory, calling my mom on the way. I was in Denver, Colorado. My parents live in Montana. And I was just like sobbing. I was like, Mom, I can't do it. I had so much anxiety about it, you know? I think I was afraid to be turned away or talked rude to. I'm very sensitive emotionally. So I was scared, right? All the time. But once I started realizing, okay, this can be fun. I can still respond playfully or kindly to people, even if they're rude to me. Like I started learning that I had more control over that and my feelings, but I don't think I fully grasped it, to be honest, until I got into real estate much later and around 26.
Is that when you quote unquote flipped the switch for you?
Yeah, actually the flip switched. I'll never forget it. One of my first clients ever through a realtor.com lead was a executive of an NFL team. And I didn't know that at the time. I just called and then I learned that. And they wanted to go see a house. So I'm driving up to show the house and I have anxiety like nobody's business.
I've been there before. That's my background too, is real estate. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And you still do, I think the referral, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it right now. Oh, good job. High five. Go. Yeah. Hell yeah. Close that deal, Mike.
Right. By the way, Terrence, shame on you. Shame on you. He's like, I thought you'd be too busy, Terrence. You know Terrence. He's like, I thought you'd be too busy with everything you have going on. So he went and used a local agent and he just sold his house and bought another. So Terrence, how dare you?
Shame.
Shame on you, Terrence. Shame on you. No, I'm just playing. No, but I do have another escrow open with a different client of mine.
Yeah,
actually, from
that's
cold
awesome.
calling efforts from way back when.
Yeah.
And just leads that I somehow, some way still nurtured that I had.
It's nice to just, especially in a market like this, to just take a step back and do something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, and let the real estate leads kind of trickle in, you know, and not have to go chase them.
That's right.
So nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, real estate. So I'm trying to remember the question that you asked.
I think when the flip switch, you were driving and taking the NFL person. I interrupted you. That's my fault.
No.
You were driving this person. You were really nervous, and you were just talking a story about taking this executive to view a house.
Yeah, I was. Well, obviously, I'm already nervous with strangers, right? But then there's, you know, an NFL executive and his wife who want to see the house. And so I was really nervous. I was like extra nervous. So I literally prayed the whole way there. And I said, fill me with the Holy Spirit. Father, help me see Jesus in them. That's it. That was my prayer. And when I got there, they're amazing people. We're still friends today, you know, still friends. It's great. It's a great thing, but they were so warm. They were so like, oh, I could just cry
Humble
thinking
people.
about it. It started to shift and heal, I think, limiting beliefs that were kind of deep down, you know? And from there, that boosted my confidence and made me realize if I can just see the creator in them, see the King of Kings in them, and just go and just like surrender, you know what I mean? I don't have to control everything. I don't have to make sure everything's perfect or right. All I have to do is go and serve. That's it. And from that changed everything. And they noted that, you know, in a review with me, and told me multiple times one of the things that they really appreciated about me is I never pushed them. We looked for homes for 2 years, but they bought a nearly $2 million home. So it was a huge commission check for me my first year of real estate, right? One of my first clients of real estate, I mean. So it was, you know, it was worth it. It was worth sticking with them. It was worth not pushing them. It was worth serving them and their needs and not trying to do my own will. And what's ironic is my ex-husband, who got his license a couple years after I did, because he saw how much money I was making, he wanted to work together, or he wanted to at least get his real estate license. And then when we got divorced, those same clients pulled me aside and we're like, he's a total opportunist. He was constantly hitting us up and trying to push us into something. And that's the reason why
Wow.
we're sticking with you. It goes miles to just surrender and serve.
I appreciate you sharing that. There's, I think,
Yeah.
a lot of wisdom in what you're breaking down, and I want to unpack it all bit by bit here. But I hear you saying you had a yearning first and foremost to get into sales was nerve-wracking, but the yearning was, hey, I love the personal development aspect of it. I
Mhm.
love the camaraderie. I love being surrounded by other people who are looking to grow. And I think that's important for people to understand and realize, right? And I think this moment in time, the story that you're sharing with us with the NFL executive and his wife, taking him and showing him, and there's a couple things I'm hearing in that story, right? First and foremost, I'm hearing that you relied on your faith instead of maybe relying on yourself and giving up control, right, to God and asking
Exactly.
God to help control things for me. I think there's so much power in what you're saying over there, and just letting go and realizing like, hey, if I just show up and I'm there to serve, what's going to happen and what's meant to be will happen, right?
Mhm.
In this case, it took some patience, right? It took a couple years of you working with these people, but the reward ended up probably being, was that maybe your largest commission check in real estate?
No.
No. Oh,
Not
okay,
even,
good.
no.
At the time. How about at the
But
time?
at the time, that was probably one of my first largest. But
Yeah.
I can't tell you how good it feels to have multiple 10. You know this.
Yeah.
Multiple 10 figures deposited. I was like,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
It's next level. It's next level.
It
Yeah.
is.
Next level
It's
stuff.
so good.
And so I think there's just so much in that, like, having the patience, showing up, realizing like I'm here to serve, not necessarily sell. And what I love about what you said, right? The most important thing here is all you needed was that one moment in time to realize like, oh, this is what I needed to build my confidence. Now, I would imagine like going into any transaction after that, like your level of conviction, your belief, right? Like you have the confidence now. You're like, hey, these people, I'm working with them. I'm doing this and that. Like, did that help serve you in future transactions after?
100%. 100%. There's something about having somebody at that caliber encourage you.
Mm.
And they were like, you're a great realtor. And they said, in their review, there's a piece where they're like, we know like you're such a humble person. You probably don't even recognize this. And I didn't. I don't know if I would consider that humility though. I think that that's brokenness that needed healed, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But that right there started making me think, okay, maybe there's more to me than I'm giving myself credit for, and as Dr. Joe Dispenza puts it, if you believe in possibility, you have to believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, you have to believe in possibility.
Next level.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. So you went from that to starting to build the confidence, the momentum. I look at you today inside of One Call Closers, and I think you're the least terrified person on a sales call from some of the
Really?
most salespeople that I see. And as soon as I've seen some of your calls, and as soon as you get the objection, you maintain this cool, calm, collected. You don't get too excited. You don't get low. You're like, okay, let's get some clarity. Let's try to figure out and understand what's happened here. But the energy of which you come off with, I paid attention to, is like non-threatening, right? And it's like, okay, hey, you're there to listen. You're there to seek to understand and then be understood. But you handle objections like not a lot of people would, right? And again, you're very cool, calm, and collected in there. How long did it take you to work up to that? Was that something you kind of learned within One Call Closers, or was that, because I don't know if you've really done one call? Have you done any type of remote sales or one call closing before this, or was this it?
This is the first time.
Wow.
But with real estate, when you're dealing with high pressure deals, like $30 million deals, and your potential loss is in the six figures, you have to.
Mhm.
If you don't keep it cool, calm, and collected, you're potentially costing yourself a lot of money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
So you kind of, your body just learns. And the thing is maybe you don't have to be at that caliber in order to learn that. I needed to, obviously, but I think anybody can learn that. If they just realize, okay, if I don't keep it together, I'm potentially costing myself, right? And others, right? If you're not able to keep yourself cool, calm, and collected, how can you possibly help them solve their problems?
That's right. That's right.
But I just try to, listen like a therapist and try to hear them out, see what I can do to help, right?
I want to add this because I think this is the piece that, and if you're on real training right now and you're listening to this call, this is the piece that I feel like most of you are missing. Kaelei does a phenomenal job like handling the objections, right? And staying cool, calm, and collected, right? Working through it. But the one thing I realized she doesn't forget to do is continue advancing the sale, guys, right? Continue advancing the sale. And you not only handle the objections, you get back into the close. Am I right?
Yeah. It took me a little bit to learn that, as you know, because we had to have a talk one day.
That's all part of the game.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the learning curve. Yeah.
And fast forward, I mean, I think, was it last month you were at the top of the leaderboard? Absolutely freaking crushed and dominated. And I think there's still, so much room for that offer, but you had a pretty darn good month, and you earned a pretty decent amount of commission that month. You've been here how many months now?
Since December, about 6 months.
About 6 months, let's say. It's not even probably 6. It's not even probably 6 full months, but there's a lot of people come in and out of here, and some struggle, some don't, right? There's no right or wrong. Some take faster to get dialed in, and some take a little bit slower, right? You made it happen, and you had a pretty good month. What did that month at One Call Closers look like for you as far as like commission?
It was, if you include bonuses and everything, I think a little over 10 grand.
Jeez,
which is
$10,000. That's huge.
It's not too shabby.
And you're doing it remotely, right? You're working at the comfort of your own schedule.
Totally remote. I think I woke up. I got to wake up at like 8 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. I just took it easy. I took care of myself that month, actually.
Wow.
I wasn't hustling. I was having fun. I was enjoying.
Having fun, man.
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing people forget to do on these calls is forget to have fun.
Gratitude. Lots of gratitude. I'd be like, I'm so grateful I get to wake up. I get to have a job where I get to wake up whenever the heck I want. I get to take breaks in the middle of the day, watch an episode of whatever it is that I'm addicted to that month. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
But you
we have it
persevered
so good.
because you didn't like right out the gate come, right? If I'm not mistaken, like you weren't like your first month wasn't a $10,000 month.
No, and I thought I was going to do like $15K my first month.
Okay.
I was like, I'm going to, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't.
But I have to shout you out on one thing that I haven't seen, because I'll be super raw and honest right now. There's a lot of realtors that have come into remote high ticket closing and they haven't been able to figure it out. My theory is because they're so used to having long sales cycles and relationship based closing and not being able to like understand that in a 45, 60-minute phone call, you're able to take a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 payment, right? Whatever it is, and build rapport fast. I've seen a lot of realtors fall into the trap of like, well, like follow up. In this space, as you've probably realized, like most deals don't close off a follow-up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've done a really good job coming in and figuring it out. And I again, honestly, like most realtors struggle with that. Are you still doing real estate, by the way? You are. So great. So this is kind of like something now you're merging in with the real estate business that you have.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm doing my real estate. I'm taking sort of a step back and not working it as hard right now. And I want to work more at One Call Closers. The market is really tough. 2024 was so slow for realtors, the slowest in 30 years. 2025 is supposed to be even slower, less sales than in 30 years, which is crazy. And so there's a lot of realtors that entered the market around COVID. So it's saturated. There's a lot of desperate agents. And I see agents convincing people to list their house because the market is strong now. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
It's just not true. So I was like, look, I want to focus on if I can take my skills into a market that is doing well, and our market is doing well, the One Call Closers market, right? The high ticket closing market is it's doing well. It's hot right now. Yep. So I can transition into that, do my referrals and repeat business with real estate, take it easy. And then that way I don't have to try to pressure people into selling a home, which is not, that makes me nauseated.
Yeah.
So,
Go back to serving, not selling.
Yeah. I just want to, and it's easier to serve in a market when you're not trying to like manipulate people into doing something that's not good for them.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. That's super strong. And so that's really cool. It sounds like, again, you're having fun. You got a nice little lifestyle that you've built for yourself. One of the things, like, I realize you always have a lot of appreciation for being a part of the team, the culture. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because you're always shouting out things. I don't want to speak for you here, of course, but I think the support, you've definitely had some comments about, and just the opportunity itself. Like, you recognize what's in front of you, and I think a lot of people kind of miss that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So the way Earl Nightingale puts it is we tend to place a lot of value on things that we pay a lot of money for, and not value the things that aren't that we pay nothing for, right? Like our mind, our soul, community, friendships, things like that. Those are priceless, right? That to me is worth money. Money can be made at any point in time. I can figure out how to earn money, no problem. But if I were to lose like this community, this team, our relationship, you as my coach, my colleagues who I work together, we, banter sometimes and, cheer each other on. And some of us have come together during personal hard times and reached out to one another. That stuff is priceless. I don't ever want to lose that. So I remember there was a day where you and I had a conversation about how I could be doing better. And I was worried I was going to lose my job. And that's exactly what actually fueled me to do number one that following month, an average of 1 close a day, which was like, mind blowing.
Crushed it.
But that's what you said. You were like, I know you can do 1 close a day. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm like, I have no choice or I'm going to lose what means the most to me. Right. It wasn't money that I needed to motivate me, but the reason why is because I don't know. There's something about this team, right? Where there's encouragement, there's positivity. It is a no bullshit policy. Like we are not, there's no negativity, none of that, which is so good because that's healthy. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm having a hard time with this and I need help. It's another thing to be sitting there complaining and having no intention of being solution oriented. So we have that culture. It's very honest. We're very we can have hard conversations nicely.
Yep.
There's so much growth in that. And if you're not constantly growing as a person, then you're going backwards. Like what are you? And that's what we get here. And it's priceless. It's so good.
You're giving me goosebumps here, girl.
It's so good.
I appreciate
I could go on
Thank
and
you.
on, but I know we've got limited time. So
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to like your yearning at 16 when you got into this thing of like, hey, personal development, right? Camaraderie, I think you mentioned, that environment. And that's what we try to do a good job of maintaining here is a non-negative mindset. We know if there's one person in here that's negative, it's going to spread like cancer. So we try to like, as soon as we, identify that, it's like, hey, have a conversation or part ways as friends type of a deal. So no, that's extremely, I appreciate you sharing that insight because it's awesome that means so much to you, right? That community and the opportunity and some of the most uncomfortable conversations sometimes we have turned into some of the best opportunities and moments that we have. Looking back, we're like, oh, like might have been not the most easiest conversation to have, but hey, where we're at now is a whole lot of a better place, right? So sometimes those conversations are needed. But I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you sharing that. So one thing I do want to talk about is, we talk about on the show with where we're at as far as a sales agency and where remote high ticket sales is at today. It's really anywhere and everywhere you look. It's kind of a pay to play model. Pay to play model. Just because, leads cost money and people know like that run sales teams, like attrition could be high. And although they'll the opportunity serious as far as the company. The closer doesn't always take it as serious, right? And so it's like, hey, we're betting on them, but they're not betting on themselves. So we've changed the model of like, hey, betting on yourself, right? And what that looks like is a deposit that if someone's interested in working with us, it's like, hey, here's the deposit that you leave. If you earn this much commission, you get it back. I'm excited to tell you that as of the 20th of the month, or this month or next, one of the two, you actually earn your deposit back. It's real. It's a real thing, right? You're able to collect enough cash where you qualify and have the opportunity to get your initial deposit back. So you were willing to bet on yourself and you had skin in the game. What gave you that confidence, and how does it feel to know that, hey, I accomplished the goal and I'm in the process of less than 6 months. I got my initial deposit that I put down to show them that, hey, I can do this, and you're getting that back.
Well, none of us have a crystal ball. If we did, then we would all be rich. So I didn't have a crystal ball. I didn't know. So there was that nerves there. I was a little scared because I was like, I don't know for sure, right? There was no guarantee. But what the guarantee was is that I had the opportunity to earn it back with the right work ethic. And I guess what I knew is that I have work ethic. I knew that if it was on me and all I had to do was put in the work, I would eventually get there because there was no time limit, right? It was based on whenever I could get to, reach the top of that hill. And I also knew that even if not, like I've just learned to trust that if I can't figure it out, I can figure out how to figure it out, right? Like I can always be resourceful. I can always get there if I just keep searching, then I'll get there, right? If you seek, you will find. I just knew that. So I just was like, all right, here we go. And it was super scary because that was like $5,000. And honest to God, Mike, I had already lost $5,000 to some real estate thing, plus another $2,000 to another real estate thing, plus another $1,500 to another and I just was so tired of the lead thing with the real estate. And those have given me zero ROI. So nearly $10,000 in losses. So for me, I was like, here goes another $5,000, right? Oh, that would have, but the thing is I trust Brad. I've come to, at the time, I didn't know anything about One Call Closers. It was about Brad. So I trusted Brad and his name, but over time, I've realized how much integrity One Call Closers has. Everybody on the team. I have so much faith and security here because I know that what's going to be promised me will be done. I know that you guys genuinely care. I know that you guys, have good intentions and you care about people and the right thing will be done. So as I saw that in my first, month, 2 months, I just was able to kind of relax and just be me and work smarter and feel, just work more relaxed, right? Which has better results.
That's incredible. I love, that confidence you have in yourself to know like, hey, I'm willing to get resourceful. Earlier you talked about you've had a lot of failures, like a lot of us have, right? And in this case, what I heard is like, and like you, I've invested a lot in real estate shit that hasn't worked out, right? There's no shortage of investing in stuff in real estate that hasn't worked out, so I understand that. So like, shout out to you because it's like, hey, there's just so many people that get stuck on that. And they're like, well, I've already invested this and I already failed at that. And I've already spent money here and da-da-da-da-da. But they still pull up to these calls. Why? Because they are like, what if it's possible? And in your case, I think that was kind of like, well, what if this one works out? And in this case, it did. It just happened to do. Now, it's not maybe in real estate, but it doesn't matter, right? You pivoted into something else. But shout out to you. You made it work. And congratulations. I'm excited for you because I think it's going to be exciting to get that $5,000 check back.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I did. My biggest regret is I didn't do it sooner. That's my biggest,
Dang, that's powerful. Help me understand this. And if you don't want to get into any type of trauma or anything in your life that has, how do I word this? It's been a struggle for you, and you sounds like you've been through some stuff. If you don't want to share, totally understand. but I look at you today and you always have a freaking amazing attitude and positive like aura to you is a great way to put it. You're always positive. You're always smiling. How did you get there? Is it gratitude? You mentioned gratitude earlier, but I'd love to hear like, anything you want to share around that.
My two favorite feelings in the world are freedom and gratitude. I just love the way they make me feel, right? Like who likes to feel crappy? The problem is that a lot of us get addicted to feeling crappy because there's chemical reactions going on there beneath the surface. And when I started to understand that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a victim of that anymore. And I had to decide. I just had to decide. And I knew I've always had this big vision for myself. I've just always also gotten myself into terrible situations. And I think that I just knew that how do I put this? I knew that my results in life were not going to exceed the person I decided to become. And that had to be a choice. Also, I like feeling good. Like who doesn't,
Yeah.
So you just kind of, there's this thing that one of the closers always says, I think it was, were you traumatized did you have a healthy childhood or do you have a great sense of humor or something like that? Right.
Yep.
So like, if you've been through a little bit, you probably have like a little bit of humor that helps, temper some of that. But
that's a lot of comedians, I think.
Yeah, we got a lot of funny people in the world for sure.
And a lot of them seem to have a lot of trauma or tough upbringings and really hard challenges in life. And I see them having fun, making the most of it through comedy.
Yeah, there's it's one or the other. You either don't come out of it or you
victim or victorious.
Yeah, it's one or the other. You don't get to have both, right? You can't serve two masters. So you can either serve the victim mentality or you can rise above that.
You're getting all the soundboards today. I know you can't hear it because we don't have those headphones on right now, but you're getting all the drops today.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat Anthony.
Yeah, we got to do a countdown here. We got to watch both episodes, see who got more. Okay.
No. Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful that my life isn't what it could be because it could be 1,000 times worse. For
sure. Speaking of going from victim mindset to being the captain of your life, like how do you think someone can practically start doing that today?
I think the first thing you have to do is start getting a little bit real with yourself, right? Like I hate to say this because I don't want to blame victims for things that happen to them.
Sure, 100%.
Because I can't control a lot of the things that other people have done to me. But what I could have controlled is the situation that I put myself in oftentimes, right? And, I've made some poor choices as a young 20-year-old that got me into really ugly situations that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And I had to sit with myself and think about, okay, like there's a decision-making paradigm here. And if I want to get better, I have to start being proactive. I can't put myself into testy situations that ultimately turn me into a victim, right? And so that is being a victor. It's taking the lesson from the experience, right? In fact, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I love his work. He says that wisdom is the lesson without the emotional charge from whatever traumatic thing happened to you, right? So just some self-reflection and asking yourself, who do I want to be? Just being intentional. Get clear on where do I want to go in life, and maybe even do like discovery. You know how we do discovery with our clients or the people that are on the calls.
Time to start with yourself.
Yeah, do it with yourself. If I continue doing this, where will I be in 2 years? Is that where I really want to be? Or do I want to make a change today?
Yeah.
And how can I start making baby steps? And you stack those little by little, and you're going to make mistakes,
No doubt about it.
along
It's
the
part
way.
of the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
People get so intimidated by failure or mistakes. And it's just like, man, every single failure and mistake I had looking back was the biggest blessing I ever had, because it gave me a perspective that I otherwise wouldn't have had.
Right.
And looking back, I'm like, those are some of the best things that happen. In the moment, it's like when you're going through it, it's intense, it's a lot, you're in your head. Looking back, it's like, oh man, I'm so grateful this one thing happened, because if that hadn't happened, this one thing would have happened, right? And so now you have
Exactly.
a story to tell. And so I think there's a lot of power in that.
There's a quote that I heard years ago. It says, we impress people with our success, but we impact them with our failure, which I was like, oh, that's so good. Your mistakes can actually tell a wonderful story that can encourage somebody who's going through the mess now and wants to be where you're at. So you can actually help somebody along the way. And also, our failures are not our identity. We aren't, you know how they say you become what you eat, or you are what you eat, or you are who you hang around. I don't agree necessarily 100% with any of that, because it's not like what you eat once or twice or who you hang. You are what you hold on to. So stop holding on to it. Just
That's
like
powerful.
take what you can, leave the rest, move forward, and do better next time. 1% better every day.
1% better.
1% better every day.
One more thing I'd like to talk about is, if there was someone out there right now and, if they want to stop playing small and step into their, true potential, what do you think the very first course of action that they would take is? What would you recommend someone do based on all of your life wisdom and experiences?
Somebody who's playing small. Don't be afraid to take up space. No, don't. You have value. In fact, from my faith as a Christian, your value, the price on you is incredible, right? It is the blood of the King of the universe, right? That is the price that paid for you from my perspective as a Christian. But let's even take that away. You are unique. There is no copy of you. Even if you're a twin, there is not an exact copy of you. You are so unique and individual. You're so precious. So just look at that for a moment and accept like how precious you are as a human being, as a life, as a soul, and start stepping into that, right? Just start soaking in that for a minute. And don't be afraid to take your own personal spin on life and share your own lessons with the world. We all have something.
Oh, no doubt.
We all have something. And the more that we can share and give and serve with whatever it is that we've learned, the better we can do for the world, for ourselves, the more we heal personally, and just start stepping into that. And you'll grow. Like, you're not going to go from, where I'm at to where like Brad Lee is at the moment, right? Like, that takes time.
Yeah, you can't jump the ladder. Got to take it a step at a time.
Exactly. Like, he's huge, right? Like
Right.
his energy is huge. His I'm sure his aura is huge, right? And so you can get there too, but it's going to be like a day at a time. It's going to be one successful service at a time. And before you know it, you've impacted thousands, millions of lives, and you're taking up big space, but in a good way, right? Just start small. maybe don't play small, but start small.
There you have it. There you have it. Start small, guys. I mean, Kaelei, you shared a lot today. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, somebody can listen to this episode 2, 3, 4, 5 times and still gather like nuggets out of it. So I want to just thank you so much for coming out, making this happen. I'm looking forward to hanging out the next day or two here with you in Southern California at the One Call Closer Summit, baby. So we're going to have a great time. Brad's coming down tomorrow. So we're going to have Mr. Bradley, the real Bradley in Southern California in Pechanga Resort Casino and Spa.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
That is where we're having our summit this year. Don't worry. You're not going to hear this for about 2 weeks, so you'll know about it after the fact. So nobody can come and creep up there. But that being the case, no, Kaelei, I really appreciate you. I'm so glad you're back from vacation, and I'm so glad you went on vacation and were able to experience awesome time in Greece.
Yep.
That's exciting, and what a way to be able to live the laptop lifestyle, right? If you choose to. I'm sure if you wanted to, you could have worked out of Greece. I know you took some time off, but
I did do a little bit.
Okay,
I did do a little
so
bit.
you have that freedom.
Yeah,
you have that freedom to do that, which is cool. I've taken deals at multiple vacation spots where I'm like, you know what? Before we get the day started, let me open up, get a couple calls in, and you're in such like that vacation mood. The energy is extra like good, right? And you get on the phone, you're like, you get a right prospect, you're like, oh man, I'm closing it.
Right.
I love that feeling.
Make a few thousand.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Some of that vacation starts paying for itself. And the cool thing is you don't have to spend more than an hour or 2 or 3. Like you have the rest of the day in front of you just because you get to open up your calendar at whatever days and times. You could make yourself available and let the leads trickle in.
And you can use ChatGPT. You can say, I'm going to be in this country from this time to this time. These are the hours I want to work while I'm in this country, or these are the hours I want to work in the United States or my local time. And you can ask it to plan that. That's what I did. I had it plan that out for me. The hardest part is the discipline. No, when you're there, you like don't, like when you're like having a great day and you want to go out for drinks. And you're like, oh wait, I've got calls.
Oh man, you might have to take some drinks and get on calls.
I know, right? You can sometimes.
You can.
Yeah.
Actually, not that I recommend this, but if you're in a funk right now and you can't get out of it, having a tequila shot or two might just loosen you up. You get on that call, you start having fun. That's the thing, guys. Before I leave you here with, people forget on sales calls to have fun. They take it so seriously. They forget to lighten the mood. They forget to crack a couple jokes. They forget all about that, man. It's supposed to be fun. So if you're out there right now and you're not closing like you think you should be, ask yourself this. Are you having fun? Right? Or are you taking it super serious and in the mundane of things, right? So Kaelei, I appreciate you. I look forward to hanging out the next couple days together. Thanks for coming down, making this happen, and let's keep crushing.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.